Hello and welcome to the Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I'm your host, Macy Renee, and we are going on a journey together, my friend. If you've been looking for a podcast geared towards your growth, self-awareness, navigating your brain's daily mind drama, and deep inner work to become your highest and best self, you are in the perfect place. Let's get started. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Becoming Your Highest Self. I'm your host, Macy Renee, and I'm so excited to have you back with me. I missed you all last Monday. I will tell you, my brain just had the worst fog. I woke up and went through most of my day not even knowing that it was Monday until nighttime when I realized, oh my God, I didn't record a podcast today. We had a lot of craziness going on. My aunt, who has been taking care of the estate for my Oma and Opa's property, was doing a going away party because she lives in Texas, and I live in Kentucky. And so she was doing a going away party in Indiana at this amazing orchard called Huber's Orchard and Winery. If you live in Indiana, I think it's in Starlight. It is such a fun place, especially in the fall, and I would highly recommend it if you're ever traveling to Indiana in September, October. Go to Huber's Winery and Orchard. It is so fun. So anyways, I had a blast with my family, and the weekend and days just got away from me. And then I was like, well, I guess I will just wait until next week and talk to them. So that brings me to what we're going to talk about today, which is really centered around not being around people who tell you to live a realistic life. And I think I've done a podcast on this before, but I want to come at it from a little bit of a different angle and share the truth and transparency and all of the things So the other day, I posted a post on my Facebook showing the realness of life as an entrepreneur, which if you're an entrepreneur, you know, is literally like being on a roller coaster without the lap belt. That's what it feels like. Like you got in a roller coaster, they forgot to put the lap belt on and secure it, and you're going through this amusement park ride, not sure if you're gonna fall out, die, you just don't know. It's very dramatic, but it's how it feels. And I was having a day where my mind drama got the best of me, which happens sometimes. I'm sure with all of you, you know that you have mind drama in your life about certain things. We all do. And there are days where I have mind drama about my business, about if I'm doing enough, if I'm doing the right things, if I'm showing up the way that I need to be showing up, if I'm investing enough, if I'm spending enough time on my business, if I'm letting anybody down. I have guilt around, should I go get a full-time job just so there's extra income so that, my husband doesn't feel as much pressure, and all of the things, like all of the guilt just comes up a-bubbling. And sometimes in your brain, you just get to a place where you feel like shit. That's quite frank, but truthful. And I was having that day 2 days ago. And so I posted on Facebook my real raw emotion. Like I posted it while I was still crying. And you guys know from being on this podcast with me, like energy translates. Whatever you are feeling at an emotional level becomes energy in motion. Emotions are energy in motion. And my emotion was very high and very much like I need to cry all of this out. And I decided in that moment that instead of hiding behind the Facebook, social media highlight reel, that I was going to post my truth on Instagram and Facebook. And so if you follow me on there, you might have seen it. And I got a lot of people that I know love and care about me reaching out to make sure that I was okay, because I tend to be very level-headed. I can manage my mind pretty excellently most of the time. And very rarely do I showcase all the mind drama that I'm having, sometimes on a daily basis. And so I posted that and everybody was like, oh no, she's cracked. Is she okay? Like my family was FaceTiming me. My husband's family was FaceTiming him. My friends were DMing me and texting me, and my sister called me. And by the time my sister called me, like I was in like hysterical laughter because I'm like, does everybody think that I died? And she was like, no, we don't think that you died, but like you're normally very happy and you just seemed like you were not, like you're having a sad day. And so we're checking on you. And I'm like, I am having a sad day, but it's okay. It's okay to have a sad day. And my point with sharing that and sharing that on social media was to show you and be a real example of true transparency, of not just hiding behind the social media highlight reel of everything's good and everything's perfect and everything comes easy for me. And because I have all of this personal development and because I have all of this mindset work, that I never go through things, because that is not true. And the last thing that I want my audience to ever think is that I had it easy. My goal always is to show you all what is possible, and to do that by showing you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and to be very transparent in how things are going for me. And so I don't just want to share with you all my wins. I also want to share with you the times where I feel like everything's falling apart, even if it's not. And when my brain tells me that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not doing enough, I need to do more, I suck at everything, I'm a failure, I'm this, because everybody's brain does that. The difference is that usually when people get in that mindset, they quit. They quit on themselves and they let that voice take over and stay there. And they never rise up to their potential. And they run away from the emotion that makes them feel bad. And when you're growing, you will often experience emotions that make you feel like shit. And that was a day where I felt like shit. And I decided, you know what? I want to share that, because the last thing that I want is for someone to have watched my journey, see me get to a place where they're like, oh my gosh, that's possible for me. And then go, well, maybe not. She was positive the whole time. She always knew it was going to work for her. She had a silver spoon in her mouth. You know, she had all of the support. She this, she that. And they make themselves separate from me because I chose not to show the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's the last thing that I want. I want, whenever I reach, you know, all of my dreams, and I'm sharing that with you because I've told you guys I'm a huge dreamer. And when I reach that stage of my life where I'm like, oh my God, it is happening. It's happening. Like everything that I have been telling you guys and wanting and sharing my visions and dreams, it's happening. I don't ever want someone to say, well, it's because you're a unicorn. And because you never felt bad, and because you're not as sensitive as I am, or you're not as, like, you didn't feel as sad as I do, or, you know, you never had as many obstacles as I have, because that is bull, okay? It's bull. And I know it can be hard to decipher this because in a world of social media, everybody is sharing their highlight reels, or they're the complete opposite. They're sharing all of their drama all the time. And what I aim to do in my social media is show you the power of a positive mind, and also the power of expressing your truth, being transparent, and sharing the real stuff, like days when you're crying, which was the picture that I shared of me crying. And I think people have a hard time watching me cry. And it's because they love me and they protect me. But this is also what I talked about in a podcast weeks and weeks ago, where we want people to feel good all the time. And we feel uncomfortable if someone's not in a good place. Like, we need them to be happy. And I think that some people needed that. They're like, oh God, she's always happy. She's always positive. She always knows everything to say. And she's not okay. And I need to fix it. Like, I need to fix it because I love whenever she's so happy. And, I was telling my sister, I'm like, nobody needs to fix anything. Nobody needs to console me. Nobody needs to make me feel better. It's okay to feel negative emotion. And all this brings me to, because this was the topic that I wanted to talk about last week anyways, is that when you are committed to living a life that is not realistic, quote unquote, realistic to what everybody else is doing in the world, you're going to experience hard things. Okay, there is a standard that we live by, especially in the United States, and I'm sure elsewhere as well, where we are expected to get up, go work for someone else, and do the thing, right? They tell us what we're worth. They tell us what they're going to pay us. They tell us how many hours we have to be there, what assignments we have to do. And if that is what makes you happy, then that is great. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. But I knew literally weeks before I graduated with my master's degree in occupational therapy. I broke down. I will never forget where I was. I was in Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, at the big convention center where they host a lot of like conventions and concerts, Music City or something like that. They were having the occupational therapy convention, and I was weeks away from walking stage with my master's degree. And I could not bring myself to go into each of those OT conventions where people were presenting research and statistics and facts and how to do certain protocols. I was finding myself just sitting in the hallways and eating a bunch of hot chicken, Nashville hot chicken sandwiches from the vendors. And I had a complete breakdown, just sobbed with my friend because I was like, I want more. I want more than this. And I respect anybody who is deciding that this is their path and who wants this to be their path. But for me and my soul, it is not my path. And I am tired of people telling me to be realistic, because that is a crock of beep. Like for me, that's just a crock of crap. It's what we are comfortable with. And very rarely are we willing to like push ourselves as far as we're actually capable, because it feels so bad, and because we are going to have those negative emotions, we are going to have those breakdowns. But when I had that realization, what it was for me is I realized I didn't want to spend the next 40 to 50 years of my life working for someone else with the hours that they dictate to me and the salary that they think that I'm worth for the rest of my life, even though it was very meaningful work. I love the field of occupational therapy. I am so proud to be an occupational therapist, and I love and obsess over the families that I have worked with in early intervention. I still speak with a lot of the moms. I love them. But it's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And when I signed up to be an entrepreneur and to take my life coaching business to the next level, I signed up for being surrounded by a lot of people who were going to think realistically and to have to work through the mind drama of knowing that people were going to tell me to quit because working for someone else would be so much easier, or having a set salary would be so much safer, or it would just be less stressful if you knew what you were going to make every single week, rather than this up and down of making great money and then maybe making no money for 4 or 5 weeks, right? Of course, that's easier. That's easier. It's predictable. And trust me, you guys, when I'm telling you this, I'm not saying if you are in a, traditional career that you need to quit your career or that you don't need to be happy in your career. I'm not saying that. So don't take it that way. I am saying that whenever I found for me that entrepreneurship was the route that I wanted to take, and I'm speaking maybe even to a lot of entrepreneurs, whether you're full-time or you have a side gig, you're in an MLM, relationship marketing company, or you've got a side crafting business, an Etsy business, whatever it is, when you signed up to do that, you broke the chains of what's realistic and what people expect you to do. And with that comes a lot of emotions that you're going to have to ride, because you're not doing the typical thing. You're not doing the quote unquote safe thing. You're not doing what everybody else thinks would just be the easiest route, okay? And that comes with a lot of mind drama and emotions. And the last thing that I wanted to do is make anybody think that it's this easy route, because I think people can look from the outside in and think, oh my God, she gets to wake up when she wants to wake up. She gets to plan her day the way she wants to plan her day. She's got all the time in the world. Like she gets to choose what she wants to be paid. And it's like all this hunky-dory stuff. And while those things are amazing, and probably the reason a lot of people do choose entrepreneurship because they crave that type of freedom, it is not a walk in the park. It means overcoming mind drama, overcoming what people are thinking of you, building a brand for yourself, knowing who you are, like showcasing that along the way. People need to know who you are, and that means like being raw, being real. And all of it comes with a big platter of you're going to fail every day. You're going to fail every day. So if you're a perfectionist and you don't like to fail and you don't like to feel icky, it can be quite a mind F, if you know what I mean. It's just you're going to have emotional days. And the last thing that I want is for anybody to feel like they have to rescue me when I'm having a bad day, because what I want you guys to remember is that it's okay to have negative emotion. Like that is teaching you something. That is showing you where your mind is at. That is your biggest teacher for letting you know what needs to come next. And for me, when I had that emotional breakdown, I was able to see, by the way, my brain told me that we were going to have to sell our house and live in an alley, which is hilarious because I know that that is not true. Like I know that even my sisters would let me crash on their floor at their house, or my grandma would let me come move into the cold basement or whatever. And it wouldn't be that dramatic. But my brain was like, oh my God, if I fail at everything, then we're going to have to live in an alley. And it was terrifying. It felt very true. Our brain tries to tell us things that feel very true. And in the moment it did. And, I think people could feel that energy coming from me of like, oh my God, is she in financial trouble? Does she have to sell her house? Which is hilarious, by the way, because we've never even been late for a mortgage payment ever. We've never been late on most of our bills. I mean, every now and then, something might slip through and we're like, oh shoot, we've got to pay that. But we've never had financial struggles like that. So it was just kind of funny that my brain in the moment of drama was like, I'm going to have to live in an alley. This is it for me. I'm going to have to live in an alley. If I fail at everything. And, it's funny in hindsight, but in the moment, those emotions are so strong. It just feels so true. And it was interesting to see, one, how many people love and care about me, which I'm so grateful for. If you reached out to me, thank you for doing so. I really do appreciate you. And it's, it was funny to also see who was uncomfortable that I was uncomfortable. They are used to seeing me a certain way. And when I wasn't that way, they were like, oh God, I don't know if I can handle her not being happy-go-lucky. Because it triggered maybe an emotion in them of oh my gosh, this is how I like her to be. And so when she's not, I feel very uncomfortable. When is she going to go back to normal? So that was kind of fun to see as well. And then it's just fun to see I signed up for this journey because I want to have a less than realistic life. And so the people I'm talking to on this episode, if you are craving that unrealistic life that your parents don't understand, your family doesn't understand, you have big dreams, big goals, in your soul that you can make it happen, but it just feels slow, or it feels like it's not happening fast enough, or you don't even know where to start, or maybe it's just sitting in you somewhere. I crave time freedom, I crave financial freedom, but I've been a nurse for, 20 years and I don't even see how I would make it happen. Or I've been a teacher for 30 years and I don't even see how it's going to happen. Which, by the way, brings me to my husband and I had dinner with my grandparents yesterday. And we were both talking about how we really don't want to live a realistic life, a predictable life. We're willing to go all in and lose it all at the foot of our dreams. And sometimes people don't understand that or agree with that because they're used to safety and what is predictable. But it was interesting because my grandma was like, I I'm just so proud of you guys. Like, I love that about you, that you're willing to go all in for what you want. But she said, it sucks that it's too late for me. And we both looked at her sideways, and I was like, be quiet right now and stop that. I'm like, if you only knew the amount of entrepreneurs that start in their 60s and their 70s, and, it is never too late. That's a mindset. It is never too late. So I don't care if you're 30, 40, 50, 60. I don't care if you've had the same job since you were 16 years old, which for my grandma, that was the case. She got a job in her 20s, I think, and literally did that until she retired about 3 or 4 years ago. My papa was the same way for the most part. He jumped from different jobs, but it was pretty much the same line of work for his entire life. They were both very hard workers. And so to see them say that it's too late for them, like, really triggered me, because I'm like, no, it is never, ever too late to go after what you desire, to change the course, to try something new, to decide that you want something different and you're worthy enough to go after it. And just know, when you do that change, whether you're switching from nursing to teaching, or teaching to law, or law to entrepreneurship, or entrepreneurship to go back to something like working for a nonprofit, like whatever it is, you're not choosing wrong. And it's a part of your path. And even if people say, I can't believe you did that, that's just really stupid, because they think you left, a $70,000 career for a $40,000 career because that was going to make you happier. The environment was better. Or you say, you know what, I'm done with the $30,000 a year career. I'm going to go back to school and be this so I can make this. Or you're the entrepreneur that's like, you know what, I don't want to be paid $40,000 a year for the rest of my life because that's what somebody decides, and I want to be an entrepreneur where I can make millions. And you get, all the crap because people don't see how that's ever going to be possible, or they're frustrated because they never did it. Whatever it is, I am begging and asking you that when you decide what you want out of your life, that you never stop because you think something needs to be more realistic, or because you think it's too late for you, or you think you're not enough, or you're not worthy. And know that the negative emotion and the mind drama is always going to come up at every single stage, every time you put yourself out there, every time you do something new. It's always going to happen. And what I would encourage you to do is just share that and be transparent and honest, because more people can relate to you, because that's humanness. You don't have to be this perfect human being walking around all the time like you have it all together. And I don't ever for a second want my audience to think I'm walking around all the time as if I have it all together, because I've had a lot of life coaching, read a lot of books, listened to a lot of podcasts and TED Talks and YouTubes, and worked with coaches of my own. It's like, that doesn't make my brain exempt from being mean to me, okay? It doesn't mean that it's never going to be mean to me again. So I have to just be aware of that and feel my feelings and go through the emotions and know that the next day is going to be better. Even the next moment can be better after the cry has been let out. And it's all going to be okay. So we just should take a deep breath. You're doing an amazing job no matter what you're doing. Start visualizing what it is you want for your life. And if the vision that you have for your life isn't where you're currently at, then I would encourage you to explore that gap. What is it that is keeping you from your vision? And then go for it. Even if that means burning the current plan to the ground, even if it means leaving things behind. Are you all in for your transformation? Are you all in for your dreams? That's enough to make you cry. Trust me, it's enough to make you cry. Are you all in? Are you on autopilot, living day to day the way you think you're supposed to because it's safe? Or are you all in on what is possible when you take those risks and when you're okay with feeling crappy from time to time? Brooke Castillo says, if there's nothing you're unwilling to feel, there is nothing you will be unable to have. How powerful is that? If there's nothing you're unwilling to feel, there will be nothing you're unable to have. something like that. I think she says it more eloquently, but that was really powerful. Because if you're willing to feel like crap as you climb your way to the top, you're going to make it to the top. You are willing to go through all the punches and all the knockdowns and all the crap to get to the top. And a lot of people in life are just not willing to go that route. It just feels way too cozy. And if they're happy, that's perfect. That's fine. We don't all have to want the same things, and we don't all have to want to live the same life. What makes us so unique and amazing is that we can all want something different. But I think what I see in my line of work a lot are people settling and thinking that it's too late for them, or they're not good enough, or they're not smart enough, or they made too many mistakes in the past, or they're screwed up from their childhood. They were, a victim of trauma, and it's just too late. It's just never going to work for them. They're not like you. They're not like me, right? They take themselves out of the game. And you guys, I just want to shake people like that. I'm like, no, let's work on your mind. It's only a mind problem. It's only a lack of being unwilling to feel crappy. And as soon as you're willing to look at your mind, and as soon as you're willing to feel crappy, it can all shift in an instant, in one single moment, by being willing to lean in. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I will talk to you all next week. If you listen to this sooner rather than later, I did a free 5-day program called 5 Days to a Better Relationship with Yourself and Others. And I'm keeping it open until October 7th. So I think you have about 2 days. Maybe I'll extend it just a few more days so that you can request to be in there. The way to get in, I think I have a lot of public posts on my Facebook and maybe even some on my Instagram where you can grab that link and request to be in it. It will be closing though. It's not going to be a group that's open forever, but those videos will be archived and put into the Becoming Her portfolio. So if you're a member of the Becoming Her coaching container, then you get access to all of those amazing videos full of amazing content. And if you guys have any questions or want to take the next step on, just getting to know yourself and expanding what you believe is possible and healing your old wounds and moving forward with a life that you feel in control of and full of empowerment, then schedule a 60-minute consult with me. You can do that on my website, MaceyRenee.com, at any time. I love you all, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye. Hey girl, did you know there's a place for you to continue this work outside of the podcast? Well, there is, and it's called Becoming Her. This is my online and ongoing coaching container for self-mastery. Everything takes place online and is the best value for your investment if you're wanting to work with me. This is for women that want to create lasting change by learning how to master themselves, their energy, their mindset, and how to do the deep inner work. It's a growing community where you're supported for life with live online trainings, access to all previously recorded content, and 2 one-on-one coaching calls with me per month. It's an investment where you can rest assured you'll have everything you need at your fingertips and where there's one primary goal, becoming your highest self. If this has been something you're looking for, join us and be a part of the growth. You can find out more information on MaceyRenee.com.